Yeah, Rhonda said she would like share this if we recorded it with like her. Oh. Maybe people would want to see it that couldn't make it. You're not in a picture.
We try to make it official. Welcome to our Wednesday night Family in Focus, designed to help families navigate life, navigate the things that are affecting real people in real ways. And tonight, my wife is going to present Taming Technology. And I'm going to turn it over right away to her.
Oh, goodness. Do you want to open us in prayer?
Sure. Father, we thank you tonight for the technology. Thank you for those that came. Help us to use this time for your honor and glory, to learn how to help our kids and our grandkids to navigate the world better. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, I'll share some things I think everything on here we've tried, we've used over the years. I'm trying to decide where to be so I can see the screen. And I really think I only have about 20 or 30 minutes of stuff. And because then I thought if you wanted to like look at your device and say, where are those things that you talked about on here? How can I download them or where do I find them? We'll have time for kind of that after the slides. So there we go. Okay, that's just my little like, this is what we're going to learn today thing. And just a reminder for people that are really paranoid about technology, every time there's been a new technology, there's been people that were afraid of it. With the invention of the alphabet, Socrates and Aristotle thought that the youth of his day would be infinitely stupid because they wouldn't have to memorize things anymore. They could write them down. And when books were invented, people thought that would be, the end of the world. And the radio was going to rot children's minds, and there was nothing parents could do to keep it out of their house because it's just coming through the air. And not that all of those technologies don't have negative aspects, which is the majority of what we're going to talk about tonight. But just remember, every time there's been a new technology, there's been somebody afraid of it, and we keep right on going. Hasn't ended us yet. So I can share these slides with anybody that wants them. Just let me know. And these topics are all linked to articles or research, but myths about technology causing isolation in children, and some research I've read about brain trauma, because a lot of some scientists use video games to help people heal from brain trauma, because they say video games can be good for healing your brain because they're a little bit predictable but a little bit unpredictable, and that's often what your brain needs if it's healing from an injury. And when I went through that, I did some of that research. And so one interesting thing I heard, and I've tried to put into practice with my kids, is that it's not that the video games are causing isolation, but if the kid is the only one in the house that's interested in the technology, they end up being isolated. So if the whole family is involved in it, that's less of a concern, for that kid's social development. So it's not so much as you have to ban them from it, but you do have to try to be interested in it, which is why I sometimes try to sit down and play Minecraft with my boys, even though I'm really bad at it, which is why my friend Melanie and I, who both have kids the same age, we've made Fortnite teams where they're at their house in downstate and I'm up here, and my boy and me and her boy, who's his friend, and her are a team of 4, and we play, and we're also terrible, but it's been some really good memories.
You have to protect mom.
Yeah, that was their favorite quote. Build a box, put the moms in it so they're safe. But that just tickled them that, we took the time to do that, even though we never took the time to get good at it. Violence. Jason and I have always talked that people had told his mom worked at a computer store that the violent video games are going to make kids violent, and here he is, a pastor. So I think he got through that okay. Boys have always played cops and robbers, and we want little boys to be policemen and army men when they grow up. So that is just kind of the new way that happens sometimes. We are careful though about, if it's gonna be a game that's, got some of that element in it, like we've told our boys, you're the good guy. Like they've had racing games where you can choose to either be the police or the person that steals cars, and they know that they're only allowed to be the police role. You're not going to practice being a criminal, but you can practice being a policeman. And so that was a rule we had for one game that we had for a while. I put that up here under myths. But you're not helpless in it. I guess that's the myth part of it. ADHD treatment now could be like, little Freddie, it's time to go play your video game instead of it's time to go take your medicine. It's supposed to help with some impulse control and some frontal lobe development. There's benefits to video games for older adults. You see more and more nursing homes with like Wii's in them because people can be seated and still be a little bit active, those kind of things. And there's more articles that are linked there about, we always hear about that keeping your brain plastic and by doing crossword puzzles and things. This is just, another way. I guess Tetris has been used in a lot of research on cognitive decline and addressing that. But on to the real reason we have to worry about it is I looked up these stats last summer. 54% of teens reported that they had viewed inappropriate images by the age of their 13. And 58% of teens said that they've been exposed to those images unintentionally. They didn't go looking for them. And so that's really scary for me with young men in my house. Here are some, okay, just leave the mouse be it's going to be a thing. Things we've used at different ages. The book Knights in Training it's a book really about raising young men, and I used it. I did a book club with some friends when my boys were littler, but it talks about just raising children, boys specifically, to be masculine, but what would you call it? Also like, yeah, like knightly. What's the word for knightly? Like they're chivalrous.
Chivalrous.
Yes.
Right.
And so one thing, it brought up a lesson, and actually the moms and I would do a book club, and then we would meet with our boys and we would do an activity, and it talked about, inappropriate images, and it said, you have to realize that, imagine if that's your sister, you don't have permission to view these ladies, and they are somebody's daughter, they're somebody's sister, and that's not a gentlemanly thing you should do. And it gave it, an age appropriate way to kind of bring this up, because it's going to come up before you're ready to talk to them about it. Another good one is this series, and they have different levels, but Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. I mean, that's a picture book. I have that one, and then they have older versions too. That kind of goes through it at an age appropriate level without giving them more than you want them to know. Another one, if a boy is having struggles, is the Every Man's series, has an Every Young Man's Battle that talks about just keeping your mind clean. And an ongoing resource, Common Sense Media, has so much stuff. It can be a little overwhelming, but you can go there, and there's only a few resources I recommend paying for. I get access free as a teacher, so if you ever want me to look something up for you, you can get so many views a month for free, and then they want you to buy a subscription. But I signed up as a teacher, and they let me have it for free. You can look up I rarely can't find it, any TV show, any movie, any video game, most books, and it will lay out for you. And this is one of the things, like when we're done, I can show you some examples. It tells you like their rating, but then it tells you like what ages they recommend it for, and it will have like a child's review and an adult's review of the movie, say, and then it will list by category. We gave it this recommendation because of this for language, because of this for mature content, this for drugs and alcohol, this for positive role models, and it has some new agey stuff like this. So anytime our kids are like, can I watch this? Like, they know I'm gonna look here. And I usually just go by the recommendation. No, it says, you really should be 14 to watch that. It's a little too violent for you. And And it's also not just like me. And then sometimes I don't know. And sometimes I'll say like, well, I remember watching that when I was your age. And then I didn't remember it. So I trust that. And then they also have a lot of information about dealing with cyberbullying, social media. I use these lessons in the online classes I teach about, I teach a class called Adulting 101, just about independent living. And I use their lessons about social media presence. And it talks about like, pick somebody you know, like a parent, and Google them and see how much information is out there and how does that make you feel. And it talks, they have things for, they have new things for artificial intelligence and how to be responsible with that and how not to get in trouble in school. So they just have a ton of resources there.
But I get ready to say, with balance of media, with the description down to which foul language words are used.
Like this many instances of this word.
Oh,
this.
Yeah. Because, I mean, not to justify sin, if for my family, if they're adults or like mature and it's a war movie, you're not necessarily going to get shot with a 12 gauge and go out that hurt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and that goes down to like, we have, as the boys have gotten older and they want to watch movies about World War II, you know, if they're considering going into the military, like, no, you need to see a pretty violent movie to know that's what that really is like. But there's some that are a better choice than others.
Yes, of course, I get that.
I mean, there are some, like Jay wanted to watch a movie that was about a war, and then I look it up and it's got mature content. And it's like, there's no reason for that to be in a movie that's about a historical war event.
Right.
You know, so we just picked a different one about that topic. And I put this little reminder up here because I always chuckle when I see people that are on Instagram talking about how their kids aren't allowed to have screens for all of Christmas break. I'm like, but you're on Instagram.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Telling me this.
Yes.
So just model it. All of our phones have this little digital well-being or dashboard or something where you can see how much time you spend on individual apps and you can set limits. You know, don't text and drive if you don't want your teenagers texting and driving. Don't sit at the dinner table with your phone if you think they shouldn't be doing that too. So that's probably the most important reminder I need a lot. Sometimes they remind me more than I remind them.
Right.
But then things we actually use. So both of the big phone brands have family controls. We have found that a parent has to have the same brand phone as far as I've been able to do it. You might be able to do Android to Apple, but I have not figured out how to do it. So like he has one brand because we have a couple kids that have iPhones, and then I have Android for one. I'm never giving it up for another because we have some Android devices. So I have what's called Family Link in Android. And I make them an account on Google. And then when they get a phone or an Android tablet, you sign in with that email address. It automatically sends my Family Link app a notification saying, are they allowed to have this device? And then you put limits on it. This is how long they can use it per day. And you can go into individual apps. Well, they can use it 4 hours a day, but they can only be on YouTube for 30 minutes. If they want to download an app, it sends me a notification and I have to approve it. I rarely will approve apps that have less than 4 stars because those are just the ones that end up having some sort of malware on them. Like they're not really selling what they claim to be selling. Those are the ones that accidentally charged me $30 for like free lives or something really scammy.
Yeah.
Had that happen. So what else do I do with Family Link? The other nice thing is you can find their device. So if they lose it, but it's on and it has internet, I can hit a button on my phone and it'll make it ring until we find it. And it'll show me on the map.
Oh yeah. Right.
It will show me where they are. And I don't have this up there, but if any device, if you have Google Maps on it, you can share the location of that device with other people with Google Maps. I started using this because my mom said she never knew when I was at work or not when I lived downstate. So I just sent her my location and told her to download Google Maps. Like, so you can see if I'm at home or if I'm at work. because then she would like, I don't want to call you at work, but I don't know if you're there or not. So, but now I can see the kids, you know, I see, and then I used it for him because he would work really early in the morning at Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, at 5 a.m., I don't need you to call me and tell me you got to work, but I just want to know you're not in a ditch. So, you know, I can see that you got there. Although last night when we were at the basketball game and he was driving up to Burt Lake, he was in the lake, according to the map. So I'm not sure why. And so results, you know, it's like, if it's not what you expect, don't jump to the worst conclusion right off the bat. But you know, we use that some. And what else does Family Link do? It'll show me what apps they're using and how much. It lets me put guidelines on, like, if they can watch YouTube, they can only watch videos that are like made for kids, or they can, you know, only when they go to the app store, they can only look at apps that are rated for everyone. You know, it'll block other things. I think the time limit and the finding their device are probably the biggest things that I use that for. And then just like monitoring their accounts. We did learn that when they turn 13, it gives you the option to turn over access to their account to them or keep it. So for the first kid, I kept it. And it didn't let him do some things. Like, he wanted to start uploading YouTube videos and he couldn't do that. So, and we've also figured out you can't go back and change your mind. So that was a little bit of a bummer. Like, so he just had to like make a new account. It was a whole mess. So just do know that like that decision is apparently a forever decision the day they turn 13. And, but we've used that for all of their Android devices. So Apple, is that the next one? Is this Apple? Is this? Yeah, that one's and wait a minute, what is this one? Nope, that one's different. Go, hang on, let me go forward one more. Nope, okay. This is Apple, I think. So Apple also, when you just go into your general settings, your name's at the top. If you add kids to your account, your family is right under there. And you can choose to share a lot of things that you purchase, like if you buy books and movies, and if you want to share payment methods. I would not want to do that, but if you want to, or subscriptions to things. And you can also put time limits on how much they can use it a day. The nice thing about both devices now, it wasn't always this way, is if they run out of time, they can still call you. They can't really call others, and they can't text, and they can't play apps. Nobody's been listening to me? So
You'll be heard with the other now.
Okay. And I don't know how to do this. And so the Apple one will give you the ability to block or show apps, give time limits. I think you can find their device, like all the same things I said about the Android, but you have to have an Apple phone to set that up for your Apple family. The other neat thing we found in Apple, if you have an instance where a child maybe loses their overall smartphone privileges, but like you don't want this to be a punishment on you, you still need to be able to get a hold of them when they're not at home, or you want them to be able to like call and text. You can put it in what the internet calls old person mode. So you go under the accessibility settings and you put it on, I forget what it's called. I can look it up if anybody wants to know, but you put it on like basic mode or anyways. And you can pick about 6 things, but you can pick less. And then their screen is just, it divides the whole screen into these just like giant squares. And so all they have is call, and only people they can call are the people out of their phone book that you've selected. And they might have text, only the people that you've designated. And, you know, maybe they have maps and nothing else works. I guess it's good. It's designed for people with low vision because the icons are going to be like a quarter of the screen. But I found this hack online and we had to do it, where like, yes, I want you to be able to call for a ride home, but you don't have access to Snapchat or YouTube or any, it's just a phone now. It's just a phone. But you still, I mean, because, you know, people have the problem that like, oh, I want to take away their phone from them, but like, we don't have a house, like we do here, but like at our, you know, when we had our own house, we didn't have a house phone. So if I leave and I take my phone, how do I get a hold of my kid? Because people don't have house phones anymore. So you can lock the iPhone down to where it's just a phone. And both apps will also let you, it will let you go in, like say they have an app, but you want to block it for a while. We have had that, you know, we like step up where like you can call us and now you can use a little bit more, but I'm still going to block these particular apps that were the reason for the issues we had. Those are gone longer. So if you set up the family plans on either Android or Apple, you can block individual apps for a time. And you can also just lock their phone like right now. Like you'll see sometimes if I think the boys aren't paying attention in church, I probably don't catch them as often as I should, but I can pull up my phone and hit a button and theirs won't do anything anymore. Just like, so. I know. Kindle has, so
Same account to do any of that?
you just have to have them connected through that Family Link app.
But do you have to be like, does all your phones have to be on my account for me to control any of them?
Well, you just,
Or can you share within?
you link them. It doesn't have anything to do with your like cell phone provider. It doesn't have anything to do with like what internet you're on. If Jason's at grandma's and I want to lock his phone, I can do it from here.
But he's on your account, so that's okay.
Yeah, well, he's on a Google account that I set up when I set up his phone. Yeah, but that's just like a one-time thing. Kindle, a lot of younger kids will start out with a Kindle, what I call them, Fire tablet. These also have the same, these are usually like within the tablet. Like, I don't know, I don't have a Kindle that I use like that, but I'll say, you know, they can't download apps without my permission. They have a time limit and it'll just pop up and say, you need a password to go into the app store or whatever I've blocked. It'll just say, you know, without the password, you can't go into here. So we have used those. We have moved away from Kindles here lately. And then all the video games have controls too. And usually it's an app you can put on your smartphone. So our Xbox, we have Xbox Family, and that's an app on my phone. And so I can know how much time the Xbox is being used, what games are being played, and I can block, you know, based on rating and stuff. The Nintendo Switch, you can put up to 4 Switches on an account, and have an app on your phone that gives them a time limit, and they have to come ask you for, you know, time if they run out and that kind of thing. And the PlayStation, we don't have a PlayStation, so that is something up here I have not used, but the PlayStation says it also has parent controls. Oh, there's the Family Link one. He is out of order. He should have been back there. All right, if you want to go bigger, we use both of these here at the church. So the one thing you can do for free with no equipment is you can use OpenDNS if you have Wi-Fi at your house. You go to OpenDNS, you sign up for an account. It will tell you based on what router you have, where to put the little magic numbers into your settings. And then you choose what you want it to filter. This is where like nobody on your internet can search for the categories you choose to block. If you want to choose, you want to block gambling, you want to block, I can block, you know, mature, but I can also block lingerie stores, and I can block auction sites, and there's got to be like 35 different things, and you pick what you want blocked. And then it's, you know, if cousin Jimmy comes over for the weekend and he hooks up to your Wi-Fi, his goes through here too. You don't have to do anything special to his phone. So I'm reasonably confident nobody, you know, is visiting the church and doing anything nefarious that they've told me about. And then you can go in, and if you have a site that's not like maybe categorized right, but it's a problem for your family. You can just blacklist sites. So like, I don't want anybody going to Amazon anymore. Just block that site wide. I know. We would die without that. I couldn't think of another site.
His name.
Then if you want super controls, our former Wi-Fi provider told us about this one, and I really like it. I've recommended it to a lot of people, is this particular type of Wi-Fi router. So this is probably the most expensive thing that I would ever recommend because they cost, I don't know, $100 each. If you just have a house, you just need one. We have 3 here because we cover the whole, this and the parsonage and the other wing and everything. And they're really easy to connect together. So if you have a dead spot in your house, you just get another these little white circle things. They're called Deco links, and you just plug another one in and then your Wi-Fi just gets bigger. So they've been really easy to use. Had a few hiccups, but not nearly as many as I have had with similar other devices. And here we pay a yearly subscription to monitor the internet traffic by device. So every device has a MAC address. If you go into like the boring part of your phone settings, it lists all these crazy long numbers. One of them is your MAC address. What I can do with the Deco is I can make a person. I can make Johnny. And then I can say, here are all of the devices that Johnny uses, because the problem we would have with kids is like, sure, I give them an hour on their phone, but now they have a Switch, and now we have an internet TV, and now, so like, how much time are they really spending online? Because they're just hopping from thing to thing, and when they run out of time. Here, I can say, here are all the devices Johnny uses, and he's allowed 2 hours a day. And it doesn't matter which of those it adds it all together. So what you have to do is you make Johnny, and then you say add a device. It will list everything on your Wi-Fi. You have to go to Johnny's little device and find the MAC address, match it up, say that device belongs to Johnny, all of his things. And then you can give him a time limit. And you can do that for everybody that uses, your network. And you could even designate things to prioritize them. Like we could say on Sundays, the church computer gets priority over everybody else's internet traffic because we want the live to go well. So you can do more, and you can also restrict. And then that will tell me, these are the sites Johnny visited today. Here's a graph. Here are the hours he was online. And then if he has, he'll have a bedtime. You can schedule downtime. So I would schedule like their internet kicks on at 8. They have a couple of minutes before school. And then they're at school. It doesn't matter. It's on, but they're not here. It'll also show you things that are like sucking down your internet. Like when we have an Oculus, it's just like it's burning through internet. I put it on there just so I could block it when nobody's using it because I don't know what it's doing. Updating things all the time. But then, so then Johnny gets home from school, he has 30 minutes, then he has downtime. So it'll let you schedule like a window between like maybe 4 and after dinner where he doesn't have internet, and then it'll come back on and then it'll go off at bedtime. And it'll show you a little graph during the day when he used it up. If it's out, the kids will come to me and they'll say, can I have more internet time? And we'll usually say, is your homework all done or your chores all done? Otherwise, they kind of get zoned out and they forget to check those things. And if it's a yes, maybe they get another 30 or 60 minutes. And you can do that from an app on your phone. So, and it's also nice that like if the internet's like Sunday, it was miserable. The internet was so slow here. We're trying to go live. I can get the app on my phone and I can say reboot our network from there. I don't have to go all the way to the office and unplug the thing and come all the way back. So those have been nice. We've had those a couple of years now. And like I said, we do pay the subscription a year, but I like those. I'm almost done. Individual apps that people have the most concerns with do have some controls. Some of these companies, I don't think they want to do it, and so their controls aren't great. Like Snapchat, here's the thing is where like you just have to You have to be involved in the same things your kids are involved in order for this to work. Like, you can make a Snapchat account and then tell Snapchat this is my child's account, and it'll connect them together and give you some control. But you have to be on there too. You have to be opening the app and looking at it. It doesn't do any good. It was the same thing with TikTok. With TikTok, I can put an hour, like a time limit per day on what the kids can look at, and a few other controls. Like, that one is a little bit more of a Wild West, but I do have some control over it, but I had to have an account too. Facebook Messenger has Messenger Kids, which, so if I go in there and set up a kid's account, then I can put it on their device, and they can only chat with people I approve. And any friend request they get comes to me, and any person they want to be friends with, I have to go find that person's parent and like request from them, which can be interesting. Like, usually I'm friends with their parent, but not always. Finding random people. It'll also notify you if they're chatting about, it'll flag conversations sometimes, and I have had that happen once or twice ever, and sometimes it's flagging something that in context wasn't bad, and sometimes it is. It'll flag the kids for spamming if they just like repeatedly send things, the same thing over and over again. I'll get like a notification that they're just maybe not using good etiquette. And, so those are there to some degree. What is that one? Oh, that's the TikTok. Oh, but there are some good things you can use technology for. Here are some things that I use.
Yeah.
Use it for good things. We use this app.
That's our list, ain't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, this is my calendar as well. The first thing is this guy up here. It's called the Allowance and Chore Bot. And we started using this over the summer. No, we were using all summer because we were already using it when Aunt Karen was here. So maybe all of this year. And I pay for it. I pay for very few apps, but I pay for this one. You set up your chores the first time and you say how often you need that chore to be done and who's responsible for it. And you rotate through the people you select. So like the downstairs bathroom is like the 3 boys. And like once a week it needs tidied up, but it doesn't have to be, rotate through. Because I got tired of like, well, I did it the last time and so hasn't had. So I just like, they don't argue with the chore bot.
Right.
They know it's remembering. And then I say how much their allowance is a week. And when I go in on Fridays to check, it will say, well, this person did 80% of their chores and here's 80% of their allowance. So I tell them, if you skip your chores, you're basically paying me to do them for you. And so that seems a little bit more fair. And then so we have deals about like, if the boys want to go get a coffee before school, it has to come from money in their chore thing.
Okay. I got $8.32 of my chore box.
Can we go to Big B on the way to school? So yeah. And we have to leave really early to get there, and probably not as early as you guys do. And so it just helps keep our whole family way more organized. It's great. I use this app called Samsung Food. It used to be called Whisk, and Samsung bought it. It's free. You can pay for it. I haven't paid for that one yet, but you can make your weekly menu. You can look at their recipes. If you're looking online at a recipe somewhere at a website, you can say, save this in Samsung Food, and it puts it in the app in this little library you have. And then I go in and make my weekly menu, and then I'll say, okay, add this to my shopping list. It comes up and says, these are all the things you need for this recipe, and you uncheck the things you already have. You put it in your shopping list. You go to your shopping list at the end of the week and you say, okay, put this in my Walmart cart. That app pops up and it puts all those things in your Walmart cart. You schedule your Walmart pickup. Easy peasy. I love it. That has kept me so organized, and that's all free. And then here I use Google Calendars. Every kid has a calendar. I have a calendar. I have a work calendar. He has a calendar, and I'll assign things to the people, and it helps keep everybody straight. We had the problem of like when Jason has a dentist appointment, we don't know who, and we've had the wrong person at the dentist. So now they're color coded. This is all of our, so our bills are in there. They're red. The family calendar, everybody subscribes to that so they know when there's like a church event. So that's why, like, if they're going to have devices, they have these things on them too. Like your device isn't all for fun. You also keep track of your chores on there, and you keep track of your calendar on there and your appointments and the grocery list. I just recently took a old Kindle Fire and mounted it to the side of my fridge, and the Samsung Food app is on it. So when 8 people a day ask me what's for dinner, which doesn't make any sense because I only live with 5 people, just go check the app. It's on there. That's all I have.
That's a lot.
So
That's a lot.
Any question? I mean, we just threw a lot at you.
Yeah.
or do you want to see anything again, or do you want me? I could go in the computer and pull up like
Don't
an.
need question.
Yeah.
I'll think about
Well,
it.
maybe does some of that, because she's Android.
Yeah.
So she does do some of that.
It is easy if the whole family just sticks with one, whichever one it
Has
is.
gone on there and blocked certain things, certain
Yeah.
people.
Do you want me to be live still?
That's why the internet was slow.
Good. Just a minute.
So, yeah, see, that's, in our house, we have 2 iPhones. That's for not here.
We were all Android for a long time, and then Jay was taking virtual saxophone lessons. She wanted to use FaceTime. So, yeah, end it. So we got